Have you ever had that moment where you felt like the market was personally against you? You see the setup forming, your heart starts racing, everything in your gut tells you this is the one, and you finally hit that button, buy or sell. For a moment, it feels right. But then, almost instantly, the candle flips against you. Your stop is hit, and you're left staring at the screen wondering if someone out there is watching your every move. You ask yourself, how is it possible that every time I enter, the market goes the other way? Let me tell you something that most traders don't realize until it's too late. It's not an accident. It's not bad luck. And it's not that you're cursed. What you're experiencing is one of the most powerful and consistent forces in trading. The traps laid out by institutions. The market is not random chaos. It is a battlefield. And in this battlefield, institutions are the hunters, and retail traders are the prey. I remember one of my earliest trades that taught me this harsh truth. It was a beautiful setup, or so I thought. Price had been consolidating for days, building pressure at a resistance level. The chatter online was all about the breakout that was coming. Everyone was watching it. Everyone was waiting. And when that breakout candle came, blasting through the level, I didn't hesitate. I went all in. For a few seconds it felt like victory. But then, like a cruel joke, the market snapped back, crushed my position, and left me with nothing but frustration. Hours later, the same market launched in the exact direction I had originally expected. Without me. I had been trapped, used as liquidity. And worst of all, I didn't even know it. That day, I learned something that changed my trading forever. The market is designed to test you, to shake you out, to take from you before it gives to you. And the ones who design those tests? They are the institutions, hedge funds, banks, the so-called smart money. They don't just participate in the market, they design the game board. They know where retail traders enter. They know where retail traders hide their stops. And they use that knowledge like a weapon. You see, every trap is carefully crafted. A false breakout, a sudden reversal, a violent stop hunt. It's all part of the same game. Retail sees opportunity. Institutions see liquidity. And the moment retail steps in, institutions pounce, filling their massive positions with your losses. That's how they win. That's why the market feels so cruel. But here's the truth that can set you free. Once you recognize the trap, once you understand the patterns behind it, you stop being prey. You stop chasing the bait. And instead, you start positioning yourself with the hunters. Suddenly, the same moves that used to wipe you out become the exact setups that pay you. Now, I know this is a lot to take in, and maybe part of you is thinking, but how do I know when it's a trap and when it's real? That's exactly what I'll show you across this journey. Step by step, we're going to pull back the curtain on how institutions trap retail traders, how you can spot the signs early, and how to flip the game in your favor. And let me be clear, you don't have to do this alone. In my Discord, I share my own market analysis and the exact strategies I use to identify these traps before they spring. I break down the levels institutions are likely targeting, and I post my trades in real time. If you've ever wished you had someone guiding you through the noise, that's where you'll find it. But for now, stay with me, because this is just the beginning. What you're about to learn in the coming chapters isn't just theory, it's survival. If you've ever felt like the market is against you, if you've ever wondered why your trades fail in the same way over and over, the answers are here. In the next chapter, I'll show you the most common trap of all, the fake breakout. Why it works, how institutions use it to bleed retail dry, and how you can flip it from being your biggest weakness into your greatest strength. So take a deep breath, settle in, and prepare yourself. Because once you see the truth behind these traps, you'll never look at the market the same way again. Think about the last time you saw a breakout happen. The chart was clean, resistance was clear. You could almost hear the market whispering, "This is the moment." And you weren't alone. Thousands of retail traders saw the exact same thing. Everyone was watching, everyone waiting, everyone ready to pile in. The candle pushes up, momentum builds, and you finally take the trade. For a few seconds, maybe even a few minutes, everything looks perfect. And then, in the blink of an eye, it reverses. Stops are triggered, accounts are drained, and retail is left shaking their heads while the institutions quietly smile. This is the fake breakout, the most common and deadly trap in the market. And the reason it works so well is simple. It preys on psychology. Retail traders are programmed to chase what looks obvious. If price has been held down by resistance for days or weeks, and suddenly it breaks through, it feels like the start of something big. The problem is, institutions know that. They know retail will jump in the moment that line is broken, and so they push price just far enough to lure everyone in, collect the orders, and then slam it the other way. Let me share a story that perfectly illustrates this. A few years ago, there was a trader I knew. We'll call him Daniel. Daniel was obsessed with breakouts. He had dozens of screenshots saved of past breakouts that ran for hundreds of pips. He would wait patiently, chart his levels, and when the breakout came, he went all in. One September, he thought he found the trade of the year. Price had consolidated for weeks, building what looked like a perfect ascending triangle. He entered on the breakout with maximum size, convinced he was about to catch the run that would define his year. For about 10 minutes, he was right. His position was in profit, his confidence was soaring. But then, almost without warning, the price reversed hard. His stop was hit, his account was down badly, and the breakout he had been waiting on became his worst loss yet. The irony? Hours later, the market ripped in the exact direction he predicted. After first stopping him out, that's the cruel beauty of the fake breakout. It gives you just enough to believe, just enough to taste victory, before pulling it all away. And here's the thing, institutions don't even hide it. They've been using this same strategy for decades, because retail keeps falling for it. But here's what I want you to take away. The fake breakout isn't just a trap. It's also a signal. If you can train your eyes to recognize when a move looks too perfect, when the market is almost begging you to enter, that's usually the sign of a trap. And instead of following the herd, you can position yourself with the institutions. While retail is buying the breakout, you can be waiting for the reversal. And when it comes, you're the one profiting while others are bleeding. The question then becomes, how do you spot it early? One way is to pay attention to volume. True breakouts are backed by sustained volume, not just a quick spike. Another is to watch for how price behaves immediately after the breakout. If it fails to gain follow-through, if it wicks back into the range, that's your first clue. And of course, context matters. If the breakout is happening right into a higher time frame resistance, or during low liquidity hours, you should be extra cautious. Now, I know this might feel like a lot to track, but this is exactly the kind of analysis I break down inside my Discord. I show live examples, real-time charts, and the thought process I use to separate real moves from traps. It's not about predicting perfectly. It's about stacking the odds in your favor, because here's the truth. If you keep falling for fake breakouts, your account will never grow. You'll always be stuck in the cycle of small wins and big losses, wondering why the market feels so unfair. But once you learn to spot the trap, the entire game changes. Suddenly, you're no longer chasing. You're anticipating. No longer. Prey, you're aligned with the hunter. So next time you see that perfect breakout forming, I want you to pause. Ask yourself, is this opportunity or is it bait? That one question could save you from countless losses, and maybe even turn the fake breakout into your most reliable setup. And stay with me, because in the next chapter, we're going to go even deeper. We'll talk about the psychological tricks institutions use, not just in the charts, but in your mind. Fear, greed, impatience. These aren't just emotions. They're the levers institutions pull to control retail behavior. And once you see how they do it, you'll never look at your own emotions and trading the same way again. The fake breakout is the visible trap. You can see it play out on the chart, you can measure it, and once you've been burned enough times, you start to recognize its shape. But what if I told you the most dangerous traps aren't just on the charts, they're in your own mind? That's right. Institutions don't just manipulate price, they manipulate psychology. And if you don't understand how they use your emotions against you, you'll keep falling into their hands again and again. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine sitting in front of your trading screen late at night. You've already taken 2 losing trades today, and you're determined to make it back. You see a setup forming, maybe not the cleanest, but it looks promising. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and you think, if this one hits, I'll recover everything. You click buy, and what happens? The market spikes against you. Another stop loss. Another dent in your account now. Ask yourself, why did you take that trade? Was it really your strategy? Or was it emotion? This is where institutions thrive. They know retail traders are emotional. They know that fear, greed, and impatience drive decisions more than discipline. And so they create conditions to amplify those emotions. Sudden spikes to create fear. Clean setups that look irresistible to spark greed. Long stretches of choppy sideways price action to breed impatience until you finally click out of frustration. Every one of these moments is a lever, designed to push you into making mistakes. I'll tell you about a trader I mentored a while back. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah was technically skilled. She knew her charts, her indicators, and her setups. But she kept losing, not because her system was wrong, but because her emotions betrayed her. Every time she had 2 losing trades, she would force the third. Every time she saw the market move without her, she'd chase. And every time she was in profit, fear would make her exit too early. Institutions didn't have to beat her. She beat herself. All they had to do was nudge her emotions in the right direction, and that's the heart of the trap. The market is designed to test your psychology. Institutions create the illusion of certainty, and your brain takes the bait. You want to avoid pain, you want to grab profit, you want to be right. But those instincts, the very things that make you human, are what get exploited. Here's something I want you to remember. The chart you're looking at isn't just numbers. It's a story of human behavior. Every candle reflects decisions driven by fear and greed. And institutions? They write the story. They create the false narratives, the setups that look too good to ignore. And then they wait for retail to play their role. But here's the shift. Once you recognize that your emotions are part of the trap, you can begin to step outside of it. You can start asking, why am I really taking this trade? Is this my plan, Or is this my fear talking? Is this my edge? Or is this my greed pushing me? That pause, that moment of self-awareness, can save you from becoming liquidity for the institutions. Inside my Discord, I talk about this often. Not just the technical traps, but the psychological ones. Because the truth is, charts alone won't save you. You need to master your mindset. I share exercises, journaling methods, and live examples of how to stay disciplined when the market is doing everything it can to shake you out. And here's the beauty. Once you stop reacting emotionally, you'll start to see the traps for what they really are. That sudden spike down before a rally, that's not a disaster, it's a discount. That fake breakout that wipes out half the chat room, that's not bad luck, it's your entry. The very same moves that used to trigger fear and frustration become signals of opportunity, once your emotions are no longer in control. So I want you to really let this sink in. The biggest trap institutions use isn't a chart pattern. It's you. It's your mind. And if you don't master it, no strategy, no indicator, no setup will save you. Stay with me, because in the next chapter, we're going to put it all together. I'll show you step by step how to actually turn these traps into your edge. How to identify, wait, and strike in the same way institutions do, so you stop feeding the market and start feeding your own account. By now, you know the traps exist. You've felt them. You've seen them. You've probably lost to them more times than you'd like to admit. But the question that really matters is this: how do you stop falling for them, and how do you actually use them to your advantage? Because here's the secret: most retail traders never realize. The same moves designed to drain accounts are the exact setups institutions use to grow theirs. The trap isn't just a weapon against you. It can also be a weapon for you. So let's slow this down and break it into steps. Step 1 is awareness. This sounds simple, but it's everything. Most traders operate on autopilot. They see a breakout, they click buy. They see a dip, they panic sell. No thought, no pause, just reaction. Institutions love this. Awareness means you stop reacting and start observing. When you see a sudden move, instead of asking, "How much can I make?" you ask, "Who benefits from this move?" That single shift in perspective changes the game. Step 2 is patience. And this is where most retail fails. Traps are designed to lure you in quickly. They look urgent. They make you feel like if you don't act right now, you'll miss it forever. But here's the truth. Real moves don't punish patience. If a breakout is real, it will retest. If a trend is genuine, there will be pullbacks. Institutions don't rush. They build. If you can resist the urge to jump at the first candle and instead wait for confirmation, you'll already be ahead. Of 90% of retail, step 3 is context. No trap exists in isolation. You can't just look at a candlestick pattern and say, "That's a trap." You have to zoom out. Where is this happening in the bigger picture? Is it into a major daily level? Is it at the start of a session when liquidity is thin? Is it after a news event when emotions are high? Context is what tells you whether a move is bait or the real deal, and step 4 is positioning. Once you've identified the likely trap, you don't chase it, you wait for the flip. This means if you see a breakout that looks too clean, you don't buy it. You wait for the rejection. You wait for the market to pull back into the range. And that's where you enter, aligned with institutions, not against them. Suddenly, the same fake breakout that used to hurt you becomes your setup for profit. Let me tell you a story to illustrate this. A trader in my community, we'll call him David, was constantly getting trapped in gold trades. Every breakout he bought would fail. Every stop hunt would knock him out. He was frustrated, ready to quit. But one day, he decided to flip the script. Instead of buying the breakout, he marked the level and waited for the rejection. The first time he tried it, he caught a move so clean it paid for all his recent losses and more. The difference wasn't luck. It was positioning. He stopped being liquidity and started trading like the ones who hunt liquidity, and this is what I want for you. To stop bleeding in the same places and to start profiting in them. But it requires discipline. It requires patience. And it requires practice. The good news is, you don't have to figure it all out alone. In my Discord, I post these setups as they're forming. I show you where I expect traps, how I plan to respond, and the exact levels I'm watching. That way, you can see it unfold, in real time, not just theory. Now let's go deeper, because there's one more step that separates amateurs from pros: risk management. Even when you spot the trap, even when you position correctly, nothing is guaranteed. Institutions win because they play the long game. They don't need every trap to work. They just need enough of them. And they size their risk so that one loss doesn't break them. If you want to flip traps into an edge, you need to think the same way. Small losses, controlled risk, and big wins when the trap plays out. So let's tie this together. The process is simple, but not easy. Awareness, patience, context, positioning, and risk management. If you can follow those steps, you'll stop being the prey. You'll stop donating to the institutions and start aligning with them. The fake breakouts, the stop hunts, the manipulation, they won't scare you anymore. They'll excite you. Because you'll know that every trap sprung is an opportunity for you to get paid. Now imagine what your trading would feel like if that was your reality. Instead of frustration, confidence. Instead of regret, anticipation. Instead of being drained, being in control. That shift is closer than you think. Stay with me. Because in the final chapter, we're going to paint the vision of what happens when you master this skill. What it feels like to walk into the market not as prey, but as predator. Not as the one being played, but as the one finally playing the game the right way. I want you to take a moment and imagine something. It's the start of a new trading week. The charts are alive, candles moving, volatility filling the air. But instead of that old feeling, the knot in your stomach, the fear of being wrong, the dread of being trapped, you feel calm, focused, confident. Because now, you're not just reacting to the market. You're reading it. You see the traps for what they are. You see the bait, and instead of biting, you smile, knowing what's coming next. That's the reality when you stop trading like retail and start thinking like an institution. The same fake breakout that used to make you panic now makes you wait patiently for the reversal. The same stop hunt that used to destroy your confidence now becomes your entry signal. The same psychology that once betrayed you, fear, greed, impatience, becomes your advantage because you're no longer controlled by it. You've stepped outside the game retail is trapped in, and you've stepped into the world of those who profit from it. I've watched this transformation happen in real traders. People who were ready to quit, who thought they'd never figure it out, who felt cursed by the market. Once they learned to see the traps, everything changed. Their confidence grew. Their accounts grew. But more importantly, their relationship with trading changed. It was no longer a source of constant frustration. It became a craft, something they could master, something they could rely on. And that's what I want for you. Not to be perfect, not to win every trade, but to finally feel like you're playing the game on the right side. To wake up each day knowing you have an edge, knowing you understand what most traders will never see. Here's the truth. Institutions will never stop setting traps. The market will never stop trying to shake you out. That's the nature of the game. But now, you know the game. You know how it's played. And that knowledge gives you a choice. You can keep being prey, falling into the same traps, blaming luck, blaming the market. Or you can step up, take responsibility, and align yourself with the hunters, and you don't have to do it alone. That's why I built my Discord. Inside, I share my live market analysis, my strategies, and the exact setups I'm trading, so you can see in real time how these traps form and how to profit from them. It's not just theory, it's practice. It's community. It's a place where traders grow together instead of struggling alone. So as we close this journey, I want you to ask yourself, when you look back months from now, will you remember this as just another video you watched? Or will you remember it as the moment something shifted? The moment you stopped being played and started playing the game with clarity and control? The choice is yours. The market will open tomorrow, the traps will be set tomorrow, and retail will fall into them tomorrow. But you have the chance to step into the other side, to see the moves before they happen, to stop reacting and start anticipating, to stop being drained and start building. This is your moment. Don't waste it. Don't let another week, another month, another year slip by with the same mistakes. The traps are out there, waiting. The only question is, are you going to fall into them? Or are you going to profit from them? Take a breath. Make your decision. And I'll see you inside, where we'll walk this path together, step by step, trade by trade, turning traps into opportunities and frustration into freedom.